Breathe in to your dysfunctions, your compressed rib cage that you have no idea how to fix, and exhale and wire in that lateral compression of our rib cage. Inhale. You notice how your ribs don't move? Yeah, it's not a good thing. This is something that we're gonna work on today. Hey guys, this is Naudi Aguilar at Functional Patterns. And today we're gonna work on your ribcage compression. Everybody is talking about breathing lately. If you look at all the people doing the Wim Hof method, it's blown up, and I'm glad that it has, because systems like that absolutely need to grow in our culture. People do need to be thinking about their breath and how they orient their, how would I say, their physiology through their breath. Health is a multifactorial thing, and breathing is definitely one of the factors that we need to take into consideration. And I just don't think people understand the implications of what they're doing to themselves when they breathe. We have to understand that the fiber formations of the rib cage, of the intercostals, aren't just made for breathing. They are made for several different things. One of the main things that we're not going to focus on today, but we focused on in other videos before, is the fact that the intercostals help us initiate thoracic rotation. They actually help us rotate our T-spine. The external intercostals actually run parallel to the external obliques. So if you look at the rib muscles, they run parallel to the external obliques. Guess what the internal oblique muscles run parallel to? The internal intercostals. So there are myofascial force transmissions that happen between the intercostals and the obliques, telling you that part of your breathing, a great deal of your breathing, relates to how well you rotate your trunk. There's also parts of your breathing that relate to lateral bending. So there's an assortment of different patterns that are supposed to correlate with breathing. And one of the issues that ends up happening with people when they just focus on breathing and breathing and breathing, especially on their exhalations, is that they end up creating more and more rib cage compression, eventually losing the volume, their capacity to essentially expand their rib cage in a way that's going to essentially help them move more sustainably, pain-free and injury-free over the course of their life. Again, breathing by itself, while you're just sitting there meditating, is going to build dysfunctions at some point, because the ribs are a dynamic structure, just like all the other muscles on your body are dynamic. I think the only thing that we really do statically, where we're just sit there and do nothing else, might be like, we do breathe, but not deeply, but we'll probably eat, we'll exercise the masseters. But most other muscles on the body are gonna, in some way, shape, or form, relate to other muscles through some kind of a dynamic motion. And the ribs definitely need to be accounted for in that regard. If I'm walking, you guys can see if I walk correctly, my ribs are going to be involved properly. So the technique I'm going to show you guys today is yet another feedback mechanism right here with one of our trusty resistance bands. And this is going to be yet another active technique to help wake up your brain, wake up your intercostals, wake up your diaphragm in a particular way that's going to facilitate more volumization of your rib cage. Okay, so all you're going to need to do, very simply put, is this. You're going to take the band, bring it around your ribs, loop it through, take that band, like so, bring it around your ribs, and do this, loop it under, and you're going to feel like your ribs are getting crushed. Now this is just enough tension for you to battle against. So you guys are going to see me do this right now. I battle against that tension. I fight against it, and what does that create? More volume on my rib cage, more expansion. All that breathing that you normally do is slowly facilitating more crushing, more crushing, more crushing. This is actually a way to test the function of your rib cage muscles and eventually give you more volume. Pretty basic stuff, not hard. Really just focus on the inhalation and battling that tension. And as you repeat that cycle, that process, you're going to begin to notice that your intercostals, your rib muscles, are going to start to get pretty sore. They're going to start to get fatigued. You might begin to feel that your thoracic spine muscles also get some fatigue. Excuse me, I got some technical difficulties going on here. This band's getting stuck on my shirt. Okay. this is going to facilitate, again, an engagement of these tissues and eventually lead you towards having more volume in your rib cage. All the things that you do typically throughout the day, whether that's hunching at a computer, whether that's even moving and breathing improperly, eventually lead to a smaller rib cage. By expanding the rib cage with a technique like this, you're essentially creating the capacity for your intercostals to not be, because with the crushed rib cage, you're going to end up like this. Your intercostals, shortened muscles, have no capacity to perform eccentric functions where the tissues are going to lengthen so then they can contract again. By us doing this, we're creating the eccentric capacity of the intercostals, which will then help us do what? Create eccentric and concentric capacity out of each one of our breaths. So that is a great technique that you guys can use. Play around with it. Like I told you guys before, the path of self-discovery is one riddled in you having to experiment with things and test things out. Play around with it, see if you can find other configurations. Key point is learn to become self-sufficient. It's an important part of life. Until next time, this is Naudi Aguilar at Functional Patterns, reminding you to breathe intentionally and not habitually. Take care.